And the Spirit immediately drove him out into the desert. He was in the desert 40 days, tempted by Satan, and he was with the wild beasts, and the angels waited on him. The desert is often thought of as a dry place. In fact, some people speak of being in a spiritual desert, feeling isolated, distant from God, victims of a dry faith. At the end of the 2nd century, a group called the Desert Fathers and the Desert Mothers went out to live intentionally in the desert of the Middle East. They left everything in search of knowing Jesus by making the Gospels absolutely integral to their daily lives. They wanted to commit themselves totally, body, soul, mind, and will, to being a disciple of Jesus. As we enter Lent and move toward the cross, I encourage you to find time for silence, to get closer to God by just sitting in God's presence. For the next few minutes, I encourage you to enter a spiritual desert, not a place of distance or dry faith, but rather a place of peace, a space to contemplate the good news of the life and death of Jesus, and to draw closer to God by sitting quietly in God's presence.
Lamb of God, with love poured out, you suffer with love.
This is a reading from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verses 1 through 6, and verses 16 through 21. The translation used is the Common English Bible. Be careful that you don't practice your religion in front of people to draw their attention. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Whenever you give to the poor, don't blow your trumpet as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, so that they may get praise from people. I assure you, that's the only reward they'll get. But when you give to the poor, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that you may give to the poor in secret. Your Father who sees what you do in secret will reward you. When you pray, don't be like hypocrites. They love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners, so that people will see them. I assure you, that's the only reward they'll get. But when you pray, go to your room, shut the door, and pray to your Father who is present in that secret place. Your Father who sees what you do in secret will reward you. And when you fast, don't put on a sad face like the hypocrites. They distort their faces so people will know they are fasting. I assure you that they have their reward. When you fast, brush your hair and wash your face. Then you won't look like you are fasting to people, but only to your Father who is present in that secret place. Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Stop collecting treasures for your own benefit on earth, where moth and rust eat them, and where thieves break in and steal them. Instead, collect treasures for yourselves in heaven, where moth and rust don't eat them, and where thieves don't break in and steal them. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. There's an ancient saying that comes from our Jewish siblings. It says that in our pockets, each of us should carry 2 notes. The first saying, "For you the entire universe was made." The second saying, "You are dust." I find this to be incongruous. On the one hand, we are reminded of the vastness of the universe, its eternal nature, the infinite possibilities and opportunities available in this vast universe. And on the other hand, dust, mortal, fragile, finite. It is fitting that today, Ash Wednesday, we reflect upon the incongruity of the infinite universe and finite humanity. Because we are here to remember our own mortality, not in morbid reflection, but rather to recognize that the time we are given is short, yet every moment of that existence is eternal. We live in the present moment, and it is always the present moment. This moment is eternal, full of life and possibilities. This moment and every moment is a divine moment. And so we don't mourn our eventual death, but rather we celebrate the eternal moment in which we live. Today we begin the season of Lent. This is not a time to boast or show off what good Christians we are. It's not a time for giving up chocolate or alcohol, although it may be beneficial for you to fast from these. Rather, this is a time where we recognize that every part of our life is spiritual. This is a time where we do battle with ego and appetite and desire. Not to declare that they are evil, but rather to recognize that we can use them in extremes. Our ego can be overinflated like those that Matthew writes about, bragging about what they do to show their faith and righteousness. We can use our appetites to mask our feelings, to medicate ourselves and escape from the reality of life. But none of these things are evil or wrong in and of themselves. We need our ego so that we can recognize our worth. We need our appetites for food, drink, and even sex. These are instinctual. Lent becomes the time to gain some control, to welcome some balance, master our appetites, cultivate humility. This is time to recognize our place in the world, to remember the first truth. The universe was created for us, and we are but a small, finite piece of that universe. And that we will one day leave this earth and the universe will continue on. And in embracing these facts, we can embrace our mortality. We can find the beauty of our existence and the infinite possibilities of this divine moment and not take any of it for granted. As the ashes are placed upon you this day, may you be filled with the spirit of hope, that although each of us will die, it is in this knowledge that we learn to truly live. May you trust in the good news that you don't have to be who you were, and that in Christ you are becoming something more than you ever thought possible. May you be the good news as we journey through the Lenten season to the cross and live fully into your mortality, this divine moment, and live fully into the celebration of the resurrection. May it be so.
When you're not sure who you really are, when all you feel is the shape of your scars, and you have more wounds than you can count, open your eyes, look all around. You aren't alone, this is your home. Come and remember who you are here. Do this to remember who I am. Come and remember you belong here. Oh, belong here. When you don't know how to forgive, when locked doors seem like the only way to live, and you've got more